Tov, good morning. We continue with our 3-minute daily dose of Torah, looking at the Rambam, at the Rav Soloveitchik's teachings of the Rambam in the chapter called the Sod Siach HaShofar, understanding the secret of the conversation of the shofar. The Rav Soloveitchik picks up on that discussion we began really yesterday about the kavana, the intentionality that must go along with the shofar blowing, and he says the following: a person, if someone blows the shofar just to make music, he's only carried out the external action that is sounding the shofar of the mitzvah. And that'll capture that idea. Oh yeah, it has to be a day of shofar soundings. But there's another pasuk aside from that one in Bamidbar, which one in Bamidbar says Yom Trua, but in Vayikra it says something else. It talks about zichron Trua. It should be a commemoration of Trua. Now we might be aware of the fact that we interpret that to mean that when Rosh Hashanah falls on a Shabbos, so that'll be a day when you only have the memory of Trua, and that's how that verse is sometimes interpreted. But that's not the only point that the pasuk is making. Namely, that the Torah says not just sound the shofar, but it should be bestirring something in your thinking. There is an element of this mitzvah, which is the kavanah halev, the intentionality and the focus. You have not fulfilled your mitzvah if you just blow it for music. That's why you didn't fulfill your mitzvah really at all. How can you compare, he said, someone who happens to hear, just walks by shul and hears a shofar being sounded and says, hey, look, that's very nice to hear that being sounded, to the person who's standing in synagogue on Rosh Hashanah morning and takes the time, closes his or her eyes, maybe recites the verse, Melech Elohim Agoyim Elohim Yashav Kisei Kadsho, that God, right, who is king over all, right, who's sitting on his godly throne. You have that in mind. They're not the same mitzvah. It's not, and one isn't the mitzvah, and that is the mitzvah. And he says, indeed, you want proof that there has to be your intentionality and your mind involved in fulfilling the mitzvah of shofar. There is a direct link between shofar blowing and davening. So we talk about which shofar sounds are required. We refer to the tekiyos de miyushav, the ones that we blow as a full set right after Haftorah, before we start davening Musaf. And then we have another set that we blow within the davening. It's part of the Amidah. In our shul, we've generally blown both for the silent and the out loud Amidah. And that is because those are tekiyos, the me'uma, they're the standing tekiyos, and that, according to many, is the primary mitzvah to be observed, along with the verses that are recited along with it. So shofar is a deeper experience. I hope that each day I'm doing digitally with you on the computer. It doesn't really count, but it already helps. Take time, allow yourself to go into the sound of the shofar, because that's where the fulfillment of the mitzvah really happens. And trying to connect something deeply about your heart and your mind and your soul, to bestir something and to focus that attention upwards. Have a wonderful and meaningful day.